How do we get out of our silos? How do we work more effectively across disciplines? When it comes to collaboration, you have to take a different mindset, take a different approach to leadership.
People think that creativity is this ineffable process, that befalls some people and not others, and that you can't plan for it. You can only hope it will take place. And my conviction has always been that creativity is an operational idea. You can plan for it and make it happen systematically. And if you're interested in urban renewal, or the refreshment of our institutions, or the reinvigoration of our own lives, we can't operate on the bland hope that we will have some accidentally good ideas occasionally. We need to make innovation a habit. We need to make it systematic. And I know I often spoke to politicians, they say, well, the trouble is you can't define creativity. And I said, no, the trouble is you can't. That's the problem, because you haven't thought about it, and we have. So here's a definition, which I'll come to in just a minute. So I was interested in how do you make creativity systematic in education, like numeracy and literacy? And I've gone on to work a lot with corporate organizations of various sorts, for a reason I'll come to. And they have a deep interest in innovation. And I think the problems they have, in part, originate in education, and the principles for addressing them are exactly the same. The strategies are a bit different, but the principles are the same. And I work a lot in the cultural sector. I've worked a lot with cultural organizations of all sorts. And I think that one of the things we really have to press is the future for all of these sectors is in a greater degree of dialogue and conversation between them, not just in closed conversations within them. That collaboration isn't just an idea for a conference. It's a key operating principle for the next phase of development in the 21st century. If you're interested in innovation, you have to cultivate your imagination. And one of the reasons that so many people lose confidence in their own powers of innovation is that their imaginations have been left to wither. But they can be revived, I believe that too. Creativity is a step on from imagination, because you could be imaginative all day long and never do anything. You would never, though, describe somebody as creative who never did anything, would you? They're tremendously creative. What have they done? Well, nothing, actually. To be creative, you have to do something. Being creative is a process of putting your imagination to work. You could think of it as applied imagination. So let me define that for you. I define creativity as the process of having original ideas that have value. The process of having original ideas that have value. And the three key terms are, firstly, that it's a process. It's not an event. I don't mean it can never be an event. Sometimes, unusually, ideas will come fully formed into your mind and you don't do much more about it. Milton claimed he wrote Paradise Lost on that basis. He woke up every morning and dictated whole slabs of Paradise Lost to his daughters, who wrote them down because he was blind. He said he never revised it. I don't know. But that would be unusual. Mozart was thought to have done that too. But it's unusual. Most people start with an idea and have to work on it. And the idea evolves in the process of it being formulated. And often the idea you end up with is not the idea you started with. And there's a good reason for that, which I want to get to. So it's a process, and it's a process that we can understand and teach. I don't mean you can predict the outcome. Elliot Eisner once said this of art. He said, art is a surprise, not a prediction. But the process is one we can understand. It's like you can teach people to be literate, but you can't predict what they will write or read as a consequence. But you can give them control of the process. It's also about originality. It's about thinking new things. Now, they don't have to be new to the whole of history, but they need to be at least new to you, preferably new to the people you're working with, and maybe new in this context, and maybe new to the whole of history. But originality is the heart of this. But the third idea is value, because having any old idea is not enough to be creative. Some creative ideas are highly original, but useless. The real process of creativity is like a strand of DNA where critical judgment wraps itself around the process of hypothesizing. You're constantly testing out whether this is a good idea or not. Now, the reason I say that is because understanding of what values to apply in what context and whether they're relevant is a key part of being creative. Not rushing to judgment is a key part of being creative. And very often, people misjudge the value of a new idea because they apply the wrong values to it. They apply their present values to it rather than seeing how they might evolve. I mean, nobody would have given much for the internet 20 years ago as an idea. You know, people think, well, what do you do with it? I remember in the first few years of the internet, people were saying, it's great, but you will never make any money from the internet. You know? Well, I had a meeting recently with Pierre Omidyar, who founded eBay. That was a good idea, really. You know?